Bruchim Abayim, ladies and gentlemen. With Hashem's help, we will do, and we will succeed. Right now, I'm on my way to the yeshiva in Jerusalem. I wanted to share just a little something small, something really short about Emunah V'Tachon, about faith and trust in Hashem. It's a very popular topic to speak about, for many Rabbanim to speak about, but for some reason, a lot of people, they either don't learn it or they learn it, but they don't internalize it. They don't really internalize it. So my favorite book on the topic of Emunah V'Tachon is the Sefer Chazon Ish, which is called Emunah V'Tachon. You can find it in both English and Hebrew. In Hebrew, here in Israel, it's only like 20 shekels, maybe 23 shekels. It's a skinny blue book. In English, it's about 120, 150. But if you're somebody new that's learning Emunah V'Tachon, I would highly recommend learning this book because it gives you the fundamentals, the very basics of Emunah V'Tachon, and also teaches the concept of the Chazon Ish is one that really stresses the concept of when you're faced between a good outcome and a bad outcome. In this book, he speaks about when you're faced with a good outcome and a bad outcome. Many times, many people will automatically assume, or they always pray, only the good's going to happen. They're going to have that positive thinking. But the Chazon Ish says that is not actually bitachon, because when the bad thing happens to you, instead of the good thing, your bitachon gets shattered. Instead, the Chazon Ish teaches that when the good or the bad, when you're faced with either the good outcome or the bad outcome, know that whether good or bad, it's for Hashem, and in the end, it's for our good. It's kind of like that song Od Yoter Tov, which I'm not a huge fan of for theological reasons, but as somebody that studies Breslev, I understand why they wrote it. But Yeh li rak tov, meaning that for me, there will only be good. Hashem yitbarach tamid ohev oti. Hashem, blessed be His name. Hashem, blessed be He, always loves me, and He says whatever happens will always be good. Now, a lot of people, like I said, they automatically think, only good's going to happen. But according to the Chazon Ish, whenever something bad happens, just like with good, always know that it's from Hashem, and in the end, it's for our best. Let's say something bad happens to us, like let's say we lose our job or something of that nature. Many people would look at that as a bad thing, but also know that it's many times you lose your job because it's just not meant to be, or there is another opportunity that comes up. There's an expression used in English that God He closes a door in order to open a new one. So when you're going through bad things, don't always think of them as bad things. I remember my favorite boxer of all time, Roy Jones Jr., a fellow Southern boy like myself. He was speaking about when he was training so hard to go to the Olympics, and at 19 years old at the 1988 Seoul Olympics, he sacrificed his childhood. He had no childhood because of boxing, and he got there. He got to the finals, and he boxed against a South Korean named Park Si-hoon, and he dominated him. But the judges scored it for Park Si-hoon, and the whole crowd booed the decision because it was considered one of the biggest robberies in Olympic history, not just Olympic boxing history. And Roy, at that point, he was so devastated, he was so destroyed, and he felt like he sacrificed everything, his whole childhood for nothing, and he got the silver medal. And of course, when he was on the podium, Park Si-hoon was booed when he received his gold medal, and Roy Jones Jr. was cheered very loudly. And even Park Si-hoon held up Jones's hand. And Jones, in a later interview, he said that it wasn't until a few days later, after being robbed, that he realized that what he thought was the worst thing that could have happened to him actually turned out to be the best thing. And he said this best. He said that sometimes the bad that we experience, they're learning lessons. Sometimes they're learning curves, and sometimes they're meant to be inspiration to add to your desire. And for him, being robbed at the Olympics, it made him want to prove that he was the best, because he won an award called the Val Barker Cup, which meant that he was the best boxer in the Olympics, but he doesn't have a gold medal. And he said that just made him want to go out there and just prove that he was the best in the world. And he ended up being voted as the best boxer of the 1990s. And he ended up going from junior middleweight champion all the way to heavyweight champion of the world for the first time since, I forget his name, I think it was Bob Fitzsimmons, but more than 100 years after that. But many people consider Roy Jones Jr. the greatest of all time in his prime, the greatest prime boxer, better than Muhammad Ali, better than Mike Tyson. But if somebody like Roy Jones Jr., who's not Jewish, but he definitely believes in God, if he can learn the concept of emunah v'tachon, then certainly us as religious Jews, we should take this along with us. For example, I've struggled with many things in my life. I thought that I was in a corner and I did not see a way out, and I thought that bad things were only going to happen. And it turns out those bad things that happened ended up not only molding me into the person that I am, and molded my interests and my goals, but it also made me very resilient in being able to deal with adversity, and gave me experience. So just remember that not all the bad things that happen to us are bad things. And the bad things, HaShem has control of it. They don't just happen by chance. And just remember what Rebbe Nachman of Breslev said. He said that HaShem never gives us more than we can handle. And when you think about it, it's so true. We over-exaggerate, I don't know if I can handle this, or, this is too much to bear. But in actuality, it's exactly what we can handle. You just need to keep trusting Hashem. One of the reasons that people are failing in their Yiddishkeit, and many times becoming chiloni, becoming secular, is because they don't have the concept of emunah v'tachon. So I highly recommend everybody put this as a focus. If you're a person that studies Daf Yomi, but you struggle with emunah v'tachon, do not treat Torah like an academic pursuit, like a university degree, because Torah, first of all, Torah is not meant to be studied like that. Second of all, you need a limud Torah that's going to give you the most in life. So until then, I really recommend everybody that doesn't have this book to look up Emunah V'Tachon and or the Sefer Chazon Ish. I'll write the name of the book in the description. So Yiratzon, may we all be inspired to work even more in our emunah bitachon, and not just talk about it, but to really live it. Let actions speak louder than words. And instead of spending all of our time on, Gemara and such, which obviously it's super important, but for the average person, it is so much more important to focus on things like Musar, on Emunah V'Tochon, and also, basic halacha, because many people that study Daf Yomi do not know what their pasuk holds. They don't really arrive at the pshat. But anyways, I hope that everybody has a good day. Be holy. Ub'Shem Hashem na'aseh v'natzliach.